to start this first, then I'm going to start this, and then I'm going to start this. Bingo. It's Ethereal Rose with Conversations, our new series where we get to interview awesome creatives. This creative happens to be local to the Minneapolis area. This is Color in Reverse, the host of Neon Night Twin Cities. Welcome back.
Yeah, good to be back.
We've been wanting to do the format of 1 hour episodes for this show just because attention spans, we have to kind of break it up in that way. And we hit the hour mark before we could really dive deep with Color in Reverse last time. And I want to fix that today. So there's so much background to what makes a creative into who they are today. And I would like to dive a lot deeper into the background of Color in Reverse, and I would actually like them to tell their life story today. So where would you like to start?
I'm trying to be productive. It's hard to think about because there's I feel like I've lived so many lifetimes within one lifetime. There have been so many deaths and rebirths for me. I could start with I don't know. I was born in Minneapolis.
Yeah, start at the very beginning. I really mean it.
Long ago.
Tell us everything.
Far away.
Once upon a time.
I was born in Minneapolis. I have 2 half-sisters that I've met maybe a couple times. I grew up with my mom, and we mainly lived, everywhere. I moved around a ton as a kid. My mom was ill, so it caused a lot of we had to constantly move from place to place. So if you ask me the main places where I spent the most time in my life, probably North Minneapolis and Richville. Probably Bloomington as well, but I've lived all over. So, yeah, that's kind of the origin of me.
Tell us more.
Over.
Tell us more.
If we think about it from the perspective of what made me an artist, right? I think a concept that's consistent in my life is pain. Constant pain and how I choose to turn that into something. Because I think I realized from an early age, growing up dirt poor, growing up with one parent, I realized that a lot of the time I was on my own, and I had to, if I ran into an issue, or if I had a problem in my life, I had to think of creative ways to deal with that problem. Otherwise, we didn't know what tomorrow was going to look like. And so, that being said, I spent, a lot of time by myself, a lot of time just existing in this area where I'm I am unique and I can't relate to the people around me. And as I'm moving through life, I have to find a way to make myself valuable enough for people to desire to understand who I am. Just because I grew up so differently than a lot of the people that I knew.
Did you have siblings?
I have 2 half-sisters, but
okay.
I didn't grow up with them.
You didn't grow up with siblings in the house?
So I was basically an only child.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, if I may ask, please feel free to not answer anything that you're not comfortable answering, but the illness that your mother had, was it a recurring illness or was it something more persistent like an autoimmune issue?
It was a persistent issue.
Okay.
So
okay.
It's like an illness that she'll have her entire life.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so an illness that kind of made her unavailable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So that you were kind of on your own most of the time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
And
gotcha.
And it's weird because people see me today and they're why are you by yourself, or why are you so introverted, or why are you hard to get a hold of, or why are you always just doing your own thing, why are you so quiet? And it's just I'm used to being in my own energy. I'm really, really comfortable with it. Especially since growing up, a lot of the kids that I interacted with were bullies. When I was young, I didn't know. I was very naive. I was everyone's nice, and if everyone just stays that way, the world will be a perfect place. And the world is not nice, and so people don't stay nice.
Yeah.
And if you don't have like, you know, like a sense of self and a sense of boundaries, like you're just gonna get run over by the world. Um, and so that was me as a kid, and
Yeah. Just being nice to everyone and expecting people to reciprocate that same energy.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It taught me a lot though. It taught me how
Okay.
to like, the first thing it taught me how to do is like read people.
Okay.
So if I knew someone was going to like fuck with me, I could tell, like they'd walk up to me and it'd be like they're an actor in a play, but they'd have like a tell. There'd be like a little smirk on their face, so I knew what was coming.
Like they're playing a character of some sort.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
I can't think of any stories about it.
It's like a mask that they're wearing or a shield that they're wearing that's like masking who they actually are, right?
Well, it's more like, have you ever heard a joke? Or not a joke, but like something happens, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, if I laugh at this, I'm going to hell for it.
Absolutely.
I cannot like not laugh at this person falling down the stairs or
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
And so that like that little like that
Oh.
little smile starts to come out.
Okay, where you're trying to hide what you're actually. Okay.
People
got
hiding
it.
their intentions. I got like really good
Got
at that right away.
Yes. You can feel people's energies, can't you?
I think I'm pretty intuitive
Yeah.
when it comes to people's intentions, except for the like small percent of people who have no tell.
Okay.
Even then, like I've run into a lot of those people too. But yeah, like not to place myself as a victim, but I've been in the position of a victim a lot, like growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's made me like really, really, really tough. Like I've been in so many fights. I've had, you know, all sorts of like gun violence, and like I've experienced so many different types of things that I'm like, I don't know, part of me is like numb to the world, but part of me is still like not hyper vigilant, but more like
Yeah.
I know what to expect from people.
Okay.
I know.
How is the way that you handle bullying today different from the way that you handled bullying when you were first confronted with it? What were your takeaways then that are different from now?
I think when I was a kid, I felt that the world was very unfair to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so when someone was bullying me, I challenged it logically. And I'm just like, no, that's not true, because like if that were true, and I'd like argue with the bullies, and
Okay.
I'd always push back, and like people would be like, why don't you just like leave that person, why don't you just like, you know, give in, and like don't let that person, you know, walk away or whatever.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm not gonna walk away. I'm not gonna like let someone run over me. I'm not gonna let them like get away with it. And I
Yeah.
would always like, you know, go back and forth, and then I'd end up fighting
Defending
with someone.
yourself, trying to justify your position.
Yes.
Whereas now,
Whereas
how
now,
is it differently?
Whereas now, like I just understand that all people have reasons for the behaviors that they do,
Okay.
and you know, a lot of the negative behaviors are coping mechanisms. And
Mhm.
so now I don't see bullies as like, oh, they're a bad person, or oh, they're like, you know, I see them as just like me, and,
Yeah.
and with a different set of circumstances and a different set of choices.
Yeah.
And so like,
Can I interject? With crappy coping skills.
yeah,
With
no.
crappy coping mechanisms. I'm sorry. There, I had to say it. Sorry.
And I kind of feel for
Sorry.
them, because it's like,
Yes.
it must be hard going through life, being constantly angry at everything, feeling constantly misunderstood, feeling constantly like you're the victim.
From what I understand, anger is always a front for a ton of hurt.
I agree.
And I'm not making excuses for their behavior, because of course
No.
that type of behavior is inexcusable, but
But I mean, like, I think like also it's an attempt to communicate.
okay.
Like I think a lot of the reasons I got bullied was like because, you know, my mom, when she was in school, she had a Valley girl accent,
Okay.
and I spent the most time with her as a kid, so I talked like her.
Okay.
And then around people who didn't speak that way, they didn't understand it, and they're like, when I speak that way in my home, I get ridiculed. When I speak that way in like my friend group, I get ridiculed. Why is he allowed to do that? And it's just like
Okay.
something I don't even realize that I'm doing. But it's like just me existing is offending someone. It's touching on something deep and impactful, and I don't even realize it.
Okay. Do you think they were interpreting that as some different form of gender expression?
Possibly.
Okay.
But like also like I'm a race traitor essentially too.
Oh,
So there's like so many
okay.
layers to it. It's
I
like,
also have been called a coon.
you know?
I have been called that horrible, horrible word before. And it's like, wait, no. Like,
Yeah.
no, that's not what we're doing over here, like, at all. I'm sorry.
But it's put a divide between me and like different groups of people.
Okay.
And not just like other black people, but other people who like are hyper masculine, or people who are like, I don't know, people who have experience, people using like a greater vernacular, or however you want to like define it, as threatening to them.
Yes.
Like when I went to school in Minneapolis, right? All of the white teachers who talked that way just thought we were just idiots, because, you know, when we use slang, it was like we were just like, oh, these poor kids from the ghetto, like they don't know any better, and like, you know, that
Okay.
that causes a lot of fucking like hurt and trauma, and like it fucks up people's lives. And when they see me talking like that, they identify me with that experience.
Okay.
And so that was part of it, but like,
You were othered by them because of Ebonics, more or less.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, not all of the people that I dealt with were black, or were like used Ebonics. Like,
Yeah.
I think the worst that I experienced, the worst bullying that I experienced, was from white people who didn't understand me too.
Okay.
Because they're just like, they go home to their parents who blame people of color for all their problems, and they go to school and they look at me, and then that smirk comes back. You know, that smirk that I was telling you about earlier. Like, I can just sense it right away.
Ooh. It's so funny. I'm sorry. Before we started this interview, I said that I was going to try to like sit back and not interject with so much of my own shit, because I really want you to have the space to really like speak and tell your story fully. But oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
my issue with the last interview, as I watched the playback, is I wanted to be like screaming and cheering in the background, because seriously, I resonate so fucking deeply with everything that you're saying. And the number one response that I got, because we like took turns, I'm half white and half black, and we took turns. 1 week we would go to the white church, 1 week we would go to the black church, and I was too white for the black people and I was too black for the white people, and I didn't fit in fucking anywhere. I was a reject everywhere I went. But the number one response I got from the white parents specifically was, and here's the thing, they never verbally said it, that it was never verbalized, but it was like, stay the fuck away from my kid. I don't want my child being influenced by any of your cultural bullshit. Like, and I got the message loud and clear. I got the message. Like, I could see it in their eyes, I could see it in their body language, like the way that they interacted with me. I was like, okay, you want to make sure your child has a promising future, and so don't, you know, impose any of my cultural ideas on your child. Understood. Like, I will respect that boundary. Sorry, go ahead.
Oof.
I'm gonna try to zip it.
It's funny because like I also like experienced that too. Like, but it's funny because it's like kind of the opposite. At the time, there was like, I don't know, maybe that was like 94, between 94 and 95. The big like talking point in the community was like black men dating white girls. And I remember when I was a kid, I didn't have a lot of friends, but I met this one girl who was really nice to me, and I'd come over her house and I'd like hang out and like, I don't know, we'd play with like her siblings or whatever, and we were kids. And I was like, man, I have a crush on this girl, like my first crush. And so I told my mom, and she's like, you can't play with her anymore. Yeah. She's like, you can't, because like, I don't want you to grow up thinking the standard of beauty and dating is like just dating white women.
Oh.
And yeah, and so it was
Wow.
just like, well, fuck. And then I was deeply hurt by that. And then I like had to go to the girl, like sneak and go to her house and be like, hey, like, I like you. And she's like, I like you too. And I'm like, I know, but like my mom, you know, she won't let us play together anymore, and this is why.
Ooh.
And so like fast forward to like 3rd grade, some random girl is in my class, and this is in like a whole nother school district, so this is crazy. But like me and this girl are at odds like every single day. Like we are fighting about the dumbest things, and for some reason like we just can't get along.
Okay.
And then like maybe like and then like you know, we went through the school system together, so like fast forward maybe 4 or 5 years later, we were fighting again, and she's just like, you don't like me because my dad is black and my mom is white, and that's why you have a problem with me.
What?
And I'm like,
I'm confused.
I'm like, I didn't even know that about you. Like,
Yeah.
what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I realized that she was the girl from when I was a kid.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And it was
That's
just
the
like
same
this
girl?
It was the same exact girl.
Fuck up. I'm so sorry. I was not expecting you to
it's
say that.
Plot twist. you
Oh
know?
my god.
So
Oh my god. Wow.
And so like I guess like it's weird because as much as we fought, we were still kind of friends.
Okay.
But like our social circles would not like interact with each other. It was dumb like school stuff, but like that ended up like being the thing that she was holding on to for all those years, and I had no idea. And had we had a conversation about it, like, and my mom like moved.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
And your mom perceived her as being a white girl.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Well, I guess my mom eventually found out that the white mom was dating the black dude, and that's what like was the thing, because like if we had TikTok back in the day, that's what like our community probably would have been talking about.
Okay.
And so like she was like like you know what I mean, like I can't have my son like thinking that, because I don't want my son to go to jail. I don't want some white girl to call the police on him for some dumb shit, and then he ends up in jail. Like, I need to protect my son. And so it was like this whole convoluted thing.
Interesting. You know what? Oh gosh, I said I wasn't gonna talk a lot during this, and hold on. 2 things. Okay, first, I have a parallel story to like encountering the same person and not knowing it was the same fucking person. So this is so dumb. I'm gonna tell it anyway. Sorry, everybody. I went and got my belly button pierced. A friend of mine ended up winning tickets on KDWB to the Booty Cruise.
Oh shit.
I had no idea what the Booty Cruise was when I agreed to take this extra ticket that she had and go on it. It is an all-female cruise that features male adult entertainers, and they have lots of adult beverages, and they had a piercer on the boat, and they like went and did my belly button. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, this was when I got which one was it? Was this when I got my labret or my belly button done? Now I can't remember. This is when I got my labret done. She pierced through this, and I picked this huge gemstone that I wanted on the front of it, and she didn't want to use that one. She used this tiny one that was the same size as the bar. And I got home from the Booty Cruise and went to sleep. And when I woke up, my lip had swollen past the gemstone. The gemstone was inside of right underneath my lip.
God.
And I tried to push it through, and I was like, okay, well, this is fucked. I just paid $80 for this piercing that is gonna have to come out. And I ripped that sucker out. It bled everywhere. It was horrible. Anyways, I'm working as a dog groomer in Maple Grove, and one of my friends is like, yeah, my friend is a piercer. She's like, yeah, she does piercings out of her home here in Maple Grove. She's like, why don't you come over to her place with me when we get off work? Like, she'll do your labret for you. I go over, I meet this young lady. She's lovely. And I'm telling her, I'm like, yeah, dude, the person who did my labret last time fucked it up so bad. I can't fucking believe it. She wouldn't give me the gemstone I wanted. Had she given me that gemstone, it wouldn't have, like, my lip wouldn't have been able to swell past it, blah, blah, blah. I had to rip it out that night. It was brutal, rah, rah, rah. She did the piercing. I friended her on Facebook afterwards. That's the time period we were in. And I went home after she did my labret piercing, and I scrolled back through her photos because I really like looking at like the progression of people's lives. Like, who have you been? Who are you now? Yeah. And sure enough, this girl had lost 80 pounds approximately. It was the same fucking girl. It's the same girl.
I mean,
and
how
I'm
did it
talking.
turn out?
Oh, it was perfect this
All
time.
right, cool.
I think she was beginner level when I
Yeah.
met her the first time, and then 2 years later when she did it the second time, like she's
Makes
pro
sense.
level. And so, I mean, like it could have happened to anyone.
Yeah.
We all have to start somewhere. It's all good. But I shouldn't have been talking shit, and I was talking shit about her to her, and I didn't realize that until I got home, and I felt like such a piece of shit. The second thing I was gonna say. Sorry, I
That's funny,
swear
bro.
I'm not trying to take over.
No, that's funny.
The second thing I was gonna say
Yeah.
is, I mean, I don't know, to your mom's defense, I guess, whatever. Are you realizing how many fucking, like, cases there are of, like, I hate to even say it out loud. I don't even like the way it sounds out loud. Like, there are white women abusing, like, psychologically abusing their black boyfriends. Like, I've noticed this lately because there was an OnlyFans star. I'm not defending your mom, by the way. I'm just saying, like, if I could argue either side of this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if
you
I
really
were,
could.
I could argue either side. Trust me.
Yeah.
But if I were to argue your mother's side, do you remember this OnlyFans model, this white girl who, and unfortunately after his death, he received zero sympathy because he had been on Twitter. I think it was Twitter at that time, just slamming on black women. I wouldn't touch a black woman with a 10-foot pole. Black women are
That
combative.
was a thing.
Black women are this. Black women are
Yeah.
that. That's why I only date white girls. Rah, rah, rah. And then she fucking killed his ass.
Yeah.
She killed him in a jealous rage. And thank goodness, I mean, I think he must have started realizing towards the end that he was in an abusive relationship because they found an audio file on his phone, a voice memo that he had recorded of her in an absolute fit, the biggest tantrum you've ever heard. And he was on his morning walk with his girlfriend, and he said hello to another woman. And she can be heard in the background of this voice memo, and she's like, what the fuck do you think you were doing? Why did you say hi to her? Why? And like, you can hear her just absolutely losing it. I mean, she's on the brink. And then it made sense why she ended up stabbing him to death, because she was possessive, like super possessive. And that's the problem. That's the only problem with incidents like that, is they know that if they call the cops and they make up some bullshit and then like give themselves a bruise here and there, like, you're toast.
100%.
Anyways, keep going. Tell me more.
That's a whole conversation, but yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So third grade. We're in third grade.
Are we in third grade?
I
Okay.
thought.
Yeah.
Is this when you met back up with your biracial girlfriend who your mom thought was white?
Yeah. So all of that happened, and like it made me like confused about like where do I like belong? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
who is safe to be around? Who is safe to like interact with or whatever?
And safe in whose eyes? Like,
Right.
seeking the approval of your mother?
Not even that. Like, it's more of a safety thing with my mom because she was tyrannical. Like, me and my mom are on good terms now.
But she was controlling?
It was part of her illness. And that's why, like, I was kind of, like, afraid to be anything but, like, a good Christian kid.
Okay.
And anything that I did that was outside of that framework, I had to be very sneaky about it.
Okay.
Because how it was like her parents were like, how do I put this? On the other side of that spectrum. If we go back,
A lack of values, perhaps, or
no, it's more like, you know, my mom, me, good Christians.
okay.
Her parents, they had like, I don't know, her mom and like my grandma had 9 other siblings, and they were all like, they were raised in the church, but like when they got older, especially the men, they deviated and they were like out here doing stuff.
Okay.
And then her dad, my grandfather, legendary like person in certain parts of the city, I'll put it that way.
Okay.
And so
In a good way or a bad way? Not in a good way.
not in a good way.
Not in a good way. Okay.
And so like when it came to me and my mom, like my mom was raised because of this, the work and the things that my grandparents did. They had, for a period of time, they had a lot of money, and my mom was called princess. Like everyone called her princess, and like, you know, she was never allowed. Her feet didn't touch snow until she was 4 years old, and they carried her everywhere, gave her diamonds and like all this stuff because with what the things they were doing, they could afford it at the time, and like it was all about like, especially with my grandfather, appearance.
Okay.
Everything was appearance. It had to have the nicest clothes, had to, you know, whatever. And that was like a very short period of time in their life because shit caught up with them really fast. But it made my mom weird, and then she's also like ill, so there's like a lot going on with that.
Okay.
And for her, like eventually my grandmother married like a Muslim dude, because it was probably around, you know, in the 70s, and there was a lot of like Nation of Islam stuff happening. And so like he was I can't remember if he was an army vet or a Marine vet, one of the two. But he was like very militant, very abusive, very violent, and you know, he was abusing my grandmother, and my mom had to be Muslim, and when she was 17, she said fuck it, and she stabbed her abusive husband in the back with a knife, and he survived. But it was like, yeah, it was like a crazy way to grow up. Like I can't imagine what my mom survived.
Did they stay together after that?
They stayed together until eventually they had left.
Okay.
And when they left, they moved to this apartment. And I remember she told me when they walked in, they were like a horror movie. There were just like cockroaches running everywhere.
Okay.
And they couldn't.
Wow.
So they grabbed trash bags and they just left that man to a place that just had cockroaches everywhere. So they couldn't hang on to their stuff, and they didn't know what they were gonna do. And I don't know how they survived it, but I'm so glad they did.
Wow.
I'm so glad, you know. And so I think about like some of the things my mom has done, and then I think about like how she grew up.
Okay.
She, you know, like as much as I love my grandfather, as much as I love my grandmother to death, she was kind of my rock through all of this. They did not raise her well.
Okay.
And I don't think they were equipped to, and that's just what it was.
Yeah.
And so when it came to raising me, like she just being ill and being raised the way she was, like she couldn't do it either. She couldn't raise me right, and I had to like, you know, figure it all out myself.
Yeah.
And I did have my grandmother did like, kind of like, I think she realized that, and I think she tried to do better with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially since I was in such a vulnerable place, you know, living with her. Like my grandmother tried to become a foster parent at one point. She did all the classes and, you know, get custody. It was a whole thing. Wasn't allowed to see or talk to my dad because my mom was convinced that if I talked to my dad or my grandmother on my dad's side, they would kidnap me, and you know, she would never see me again. And so like.
Okay, so that
it's
explains a little bit as far as like the paranoia about your safety.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that's like a whole thing.
Okay.
And then, yeah, you know, and because of all the chaos, I just bounced from like school to school, living with my mom, living with my grandma, my mom moving, and just like everywhere I went, the thing that was consistent though was people would try to fuck with me and people would try to bully me.
Because you were always the new kid in town.
I was always the new kid in town, and because I was so used to it, I had like this like thing where I would like slip into it like the victim role, because I'm so used to expecting that from everywhere I go.
Okay.
It's just like easy to like slip into that. And like it took me years to figure out that that's what was happening.
Okay.
And so like, yeah, I was always getting into fights. I was always in trouble. My grades were always terrible. I always got like all F's in school. And sometimes I had friends, but it was usually just one close friend. And then like other people who would be like cool with me sometimes. And then, but yeah, I remember times where like the entire class literally treated me like a disease. And like we're like, oh my god, he's a germ, like here, get it off me, and they like pass it from person to person.
Wow.
I remember like when my mom was in the hospital one time for her illness, and I had to live with my grandma. And then when she got out of the hospital and I came back, people were like, "What are you doing back? I was hoping you were dead."
Wow.
Like kids were saying that shit to
God,
me.
kids are mean.
And I was just like, I started to believe like there's something wrong with me. Like and I like held that belief for so long. And so it actually shaped like a lot of the choices that I made growing up. I made choices as if like, you know, there was something wrong with me that I needed to fix.
Okay.
And if I just like do this thing, then I would be accepted. If I would just become this way or become that way or stop doing this or stop doing that, like like I just had to like figure it out what the thing was that I needed to do to be a human being, you know? And like if you ask how that shaped me as an artist, I dove into every single thing that I could. I think the first thing that I tried was sports, which I was actually really good at, but we could never afford like the uniforms, and I never had good enough grades to be on the teams.
Okay.
I did play soccer for a few years, which was like probably the best time of my childhood was playing soccer.
Yeah.
Until like just didn't work out because my mom's illness and it was like a lot of stuff. And so like, you know, I did have like a couple kids that I'd play sports with though, like in our little apartment building complex.
Yeah.
And so that was cool. But then like when I got to middle school, we'll bring it up a bit. I started noticing that like the kids who like play sports and have the muscles and like you know, those are the kids that people like. And so whenever we'd like play sports in gym, I had to be the best one. I had to like really like show off and be talented and like.
Okay.
Then I started getting accepted. And what it taught me was that if I observe people and what their motives are and why they do the things they do and how they do them, I can make myself the center of attention and I can make myself like whatever I want. But it took me a while to like grasp that concept too, which is very unhealthy. But like also like I had experiences where like we had like point and reward systems. So like I said, I didn't have a lot of money growing up, but like if you got enough points for good behavior at the end of the week, you would get a toy from the toy bag. And of course, like a kid would go, "Shut up, Josh," and I go, "No, you shut up." And then they go, "Teacher, Josh is being mean," and then like I'd never get points, and the teacher would just see me as a problematic kid. So I got to watch as everyone picked out toys while like I didn't have any, and it was like crazy. And so like I just thought like people are. I learned really fast that social situations impact people more than the truth, more than like the kind-hearted like intentions that I had for the world. People are really just moving through life through the search situations that they're put in. Like those dictate people's behavior, and I learned that if I can change those situations, I too can garner respect and attention and like all of these things. But I always chose not to because I didn't think it felt right. You know, I didn't think it felt right, and like part of being who I am and being like a Sagittarius is I really value authenticity.
Yeah.
And so my act of rebellion at the time was to live as authentically as I could and hate myself and have people hate me for it, but like who else can I be, you know? And so yeah, like there was just like what I'm trying to say is there's just some adversity that was always pushing me. Like the second I stepped foot into this planet, I felt like I was being pushed over the edge of it, just for existing.
Can you explain a little bit further what you said about I can't fit the concept.
Sorry, I'm like
No.
on your feet here.
No, go for it. Go for it. So wait, so understanding people's motives.
Yeah.
That was where the shift happened for you. From being bullied and outcasted, and you said like performing well in sports also changed your social positioning.
Yep.
But can you explain a little bit further what you're saying about understanding people's motives and how that shifted things for you and how that helped you like gain more control over the situation?
Kinda, because I never really gained control. But like,
how did it shift things for you?
it made me understand that like it affected me at different ways at different points in my life. But at this particular point, I would say maybe I was about, 12, 13 when I really started noticing that. I started trying to throw away my identity, is what I did, because I was like, this is the type of like people like me when I perform well, and so I need to perform well at all things.
Okay.
Especially the things that they value, because that's what everyone else is doing. None of these people, like everyone is like, I used to think that there was something special about these people, but they all suck, just like I do. And so like they're just doing what their parents want them to do. They're just doing what what society wants them to do. And so like if I do that same thing and fall in line, I think I'll be okay. But I just couldn't do it. I couldn't yeah. And so like, and I didn't realize a lot of it too was like, I don't know, man, like I was living in this like Richfield, like white ass fucking cake eater fucking town, you know?
Yeah.
And like half the shit that I like, and like, I don't know, half the like, I'm not making sense, but like the way that I was raised, like even though like I had like a weird childhood, like I was still raised with different fucking values than the people around me.
Okay.
And like I just didn't understand why I wasn't accepted. Even when I enjoyed the things that the people around me enjoyed. And it was because like they don't expect or want me to be there in the first place. You know? It's like even the people that be like, work really hard to not be racist. It was as if they like didn't even understand what that meant, because like they had such a shallow understanding of race. It was like, oh, racism is this thing where you think that like people of color are not as good as you, and I don't think that. I think we're all the same. I don't see it was a lot of like, I don't see color bullshit.
I don't see color. You can be green, purple, yellow. It's like, yeah.
But then like they'd make jokes and like all this shit, and I'd be like, I started to realize they don't really fucking like me.
Okay.
I remember like I was hanging out with some people, and there was a basketball hoop, and I wasn't really like, I don't know, I wasn't really like trying to show off or anything. I just picked up the ball and shot it. And like someone's like, oh yeah, I saw that ghetto trick shot you made. I'm like, what? And it was like the only time I was acknowledged was like when I did something that coincided with a stereotype. And so I'm just like, these motherfuckers.
I have to ask you this.
Yeah.
Have you had the experience yet where a white person is speaking to the group and you happen to be in it, and they speak to all the white people a certain way, and then they get to you and they try to speak to you in this like slang ass accent?
Oh yeah.
That is the most insulting shit. That is the most insulting shit ever. I worked at a pet hotel, and this woman who was the manager of the facility, there was like a group of like 4 of us, and she talked to all the other people that were standing in the group, like we're all standing in one group, and she was like, yeah, and when you get to your side, just make sure that you turn over the kennels and blah blah blah, and make sure that the individual play dogs get to go outside by themselves. And then she looked at me and she said, and on your side, when you get over there, I need you. And I was like,
what?
I'm sorry, pardon? Like,
fuck?
could you stop humiliating yourself for me, please? Quick, right now. Like, please stop. Like, I understand you when you are not speaking in Ebonics. Like, I can understand you.
Could you imagine? Quit using all them big words. I don't know. Like, what the fuck?
Oh my god.
Like, what does she think, bro?
Oh, it was so insulting.
Yeah.
Oh, it felt so fucking gross. My skin started crawling right away. I was like, oh no, she speaks to me differently than everyone else. What's happening? Like,
Then
make it
internal,
stop.
like, you know that suck-in place from Get Out? Like, every time a moment like that happens, I feel like I like fall into the fucking couch.
Sunken
Like,
place.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, I keep taking over. Don't let me talk.
You're not.
No, don't let me talk.
It's all good.
Continue.
But yeah, no, shit like that, dude. And it's like, I didn't fucking like realize what I was in until I left. And so come like college time, I end up moving to the cities and like taking over like, you know, the family house. During that time, I'm studying philosophy, I'm studying sociology, I'm studying psychology, and we're like finally putting words to all of these experiences.
Yeah.
And there are white people around me, and there are people of color around me because I went to MCTC for a while, and
Yeah.
and there's also a kid that's like, I just got here from Iowa, and I've never seen so many non-white people in one place before.
Jeez.
So there's like I think that kid ended up leaving the school because that was so uncomfortable for him.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm around more of my people, more people in general who are interested academically and personally in the experiences of others.
Yeah.
Because they're waking up too. They're like, oh my God, like I didn't know that like different people went through these things that I've never even had to think about.
Yeah.
And like being in an environment like that was really positive for me. It was really like, inspiring to like know that like
Connect with people on a human level.
that part.
Sorry, I didn't mean to finish your sentence.
You're good.
But yeah.
You're doing good.
Go on.
So yeah, it was it's not my life story, but it's the parts. It's the
Okay.
it's the slices that kick in there.
Okay.
And so like in high school, I'll talk about this too. Like I got to the point where like in the locker room I'd see my friends and they'd have like, I'm jumping to a new topic, but they'd have like scratches down their back. Like and like we're like 14-year-old kids.
Okay.
And I'm like, this dude on the football team, he's got a girlfriend. I know he started dating this one girl recently.
Okay.
I know, like, I think he's cheating on her with some other girl. And I'm like, I haven't had sex yet. Like, I haven't had a girlfriend yet. What's wrong with me?
Okay.
And so I'm like, this must be the thing that validates me as a man, is to like have a human being be like a milestone to me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And so like, I ended up like having sex for the first time when I was like 14, 15.
Okay.
Nearly getting someone pregnant, nearly getting arrested because they were a white person.
Oh man.
And like we like snuck off together, and like the mom was like, "Where's my daughter?" And I'm like, "We're just at the fucking library skipping school because we want to spend time together."
Yeah.
So it was just like it was interesting. It was interesting how that all came full circle. And then there was just like so many ideas that I took with me from all of those experiences, and the way that I interpreted those experiences is like, I don't know why, but no matter what I do, I can't do it right, and I'm suffering every day, and I don't know why I'm suffering. And so like, I was awakened to like leaving like the religious beliefs that I had and abandoning those and exploring other religious beliefs. I got really deep into Buddhist philosophy. I got really deep into paganism. I got really deep into like all these like sorts of things because I wanted to find answers, and I learned that religion was just, the Christian faith was just trapping me.
Yeah.
And so like, I became like, I don't know, really philosophical and really started thinking hard about these things.
Okay. Would you say that you were seeking validation and looking to your peers for what would give you that validation? Is that kind of what you're saying with the story about like, oh, my peers are having sex, I think it's time for me to start having sex?
Well, it's like, I see what you're asking.
Is that what you're saying?
It's more like, not even that my peers would validate me if they knew I was having sex with someone, but more so like, oh, this is proof that I'm a human because other humans are doing this thing, and I am not doing this thing. So
you're proving it to yourself, more or less.
Yeah, because like
that helps.
I think when I talked about like how I started like seeing the world as being run by the situations that people are in and being more observant, like everything became like a scientific testing lab for me.
Okay.
And so like I'm just like, okay, if this person is very popular and they're, they have all these girlfriends and they're having all this sex, and I am not as popular as I want to be because in ninth grade, I cared about popularity.
Mhm.
That was when I was still like trying to like do all the things that made people like happy and like
Yep.
accepted. And so I'm like, okay, so I'm noticing this, and then I'm like, so that's the thing that I need to do, and then we'll see if that gets that result. You know, I'm just like,
Okay.
I'm playing God. You know,
Yeah.
I'm just like, and so
You're
like
running experiments.
it sucks because like then people don't become people. You know, they're not people. They're just like cardboard cutouts. And
Okay.
like I think I struggled with that at that time because I was thinking like, man, all of the people around me are cardboard cutouts, and all they do is, you know, whatever society tells them.
Okay.
And so like, and it felt so bad because I felt very lonely and isolated because I felt like all of my relationships weren't real, and all of the people that I was like getting to know, and like all the like it just wasn't real, and so I felt like I had to escape that.
Okay.
I,
And
so
your experiences, no, I really want to get this concept. So, and your experiences were what was going to break you out of that societal expectation reality.
I think there was it was just another turning point where it was like I'm realizing that doing all these things isn't bringing me the fulfillment and acceptance of others.
Yeah.
And it's like a carrot on a stick. Like
Okay.
you never really get there.
Yeah.
So I started abandoning it. I started abandoning like the idea that like if I like was dating this person, and if I was like, you know, still good at sports, and if I was like athletic and like all these things, that I would like finally get acceptance and love that I wasn't getting at home.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like if I finally did all these things, like I would have that, and then I can
Okay.
accept myself as a human being.
Okay.
Because I needed everyone to accept me first because of those experiences being treated like a disease. Like I need to change all of their minds. I need to like Naruto my way out of this shit.
Okay.
And so like I tried, and I realized that the more I tried, the more I realized that the layers of society are bullshit. The layers
Yeah.
of religion are bullshit.
Yes.
And I don't have to try so hard anymore. And I think I started like trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and you know, like, and I still realized I was suffering. I felt all this pain, and it was like so existential because I'm like, there's no way out of this suffering.
Yeah.
And so like I started like doing music, and I started doing art. Another thing that runs in my family is music.
Okay.
Like we're not just like stereotypical like, you know, like criminals and shit. We're artists.
Okay.
My mom was a like very accomplished gospel singer. One of my cousins used to play in Prince's band, The Time.
Wow.
His dad was like a famous dude, and like like I come from like a long line of musicians in my family, and so I've always had it a little bit, but it really didn't come out until like I begged my mom for a guitar for my birthday. It's like all I wanted. And there's another like childhood friend I had that moved away, and he had started a band and he had a guitar, and I'm just like, man, I could probably do that too. And so like I ended up like just getting a guitar, and that just became my thing.
Yeah.
Until college, like that was just my life was just guitar. I'd practice for 7 hours a day.
Okay. That's incredible.
And then you know I got into other stuff like martial arts and like breakdancing, and like those are other stories for another time. But like I really just dove into art, like all aspects of it. Even when I was a kid, I like would practice drawing anime, and I'm like I've always been like the jack of all trades type of person, and so like whatever I can get my hands on to escape the hell that like was whatever I was going through or whatever was like dealing with, like I would grasp onto it.
And you think that what freed you up to finally like channel your creativity through those creative pursuits was you no longer being in that area of people pleasing in your life and of seeking validation from your peers, like from...
I want to say that,
Yeah.
but I was in that area for longer than I'd like to admit.
You know, would you say that you were seeking validation outside of yourself, or would you say that you were seeking validation from within yourself? Were you seeking to validate yourself?
I was seeking to validate myself externally. Because
Okay.
I was the type of person where like I can always validate myself internally. Like I know
Yeah.
what I've survived and I know what I'm capable of in my life.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like I was kind of like the tree falling in the forest. No one gave a shit because no one,
Oh.
everyone kind of focuses on their own thing.
Oh.
And like no matter who I am, like I just never felt accepted. I always felt like a disease. I always
Okay.
felt like, you know, I shouldn't exist. I always felt like, you know, I wish I could like trade this life in for a new one. And so I'm
Okay.
like, maybe one day if I become good enough, the great things that I see inside of myself, others will recognize.
Okay. Yeah.
That's how I thought about it.
That is a very human thing to like need to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
Like to need to be seen as a part of the community or as contributing to society in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
I just find it interesting. I'm sorry that I'm so perplexed.
You're doing good. You're doing
I
good.
just find it interesting that when you spoke about like your peers, you saw them performing up to society's pressure as fake.
Yes.
But then you also saw what you were doing as fake. Like, do you see what I'm saying? So I guess I find it only mildly baffling.
Yeah.
Just what. So the goal was ultimately what?
to be acknowledged.
To be
and to be
acknowledged.
accepted.
Okay.
And to be like, for people to not say gross when they associate with my name, but to say like, oh, that person's cool. I like
Okay.
that person.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was like. And so I was like, what is that experience and how do I get it?
Yeah.
And so like, it was, ideally, it felt fake to me when I would try and hang out with the jocks. Like it just didn't
Okay.
feel fucking right. Like
Okay.
these people only value me because I like dominated in kickball today.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
passed a basketball to someone. Like I did something like
Yeah.
cool in sports, or I can bench this much, or I can run. I'm a fat kid that can run with the like athletic kids. Like there's just something
Okay.
something about me that they're like, man, you'd be really valuable to have on a team. And when I finally like, it took a while. It took me being in that position to think about like fuck, these kids, all they do is repeat shit their fucking drunk dad told them.
Yeah.
You know, their drunk dad told them like only loved them when they scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Their drunk dad only fucking loved them when they like did something at a game. And that's what they think love is. And
Yeah.
that's fucked up. That's absolutely fucked up. And so
Yes.
like it just, once I understood that, when I listened to the way that they would communicate with me, where they just sounded like a 40-year-old Richfield dad,
Ooh.
I'm like,
Or
this
you
is-
can just tell they're repeating what their parents told them.
you know, and so I'm like,
Yes.
that's what this is. This isn't cool. This is sad. This is fucking sad.
Because when your acceptance is all accomplishment based,
Yeah.
you will never get off of that fucking hamster wheel.
Right.
You will always, and that's what I'm realizing, is like you will always be reaching for the next thing and the next thing. Okay, I conquered this, now this, now this, now this. You're just running in that hamster wheel, trying to maintain this level of validation and this level of like notoriety or acknowledgement amongst like the people that you want to people please. It's kind of wild, isn't it? Being a people pleaser gets you so far out of touch with what you actually want to do, want to be for yourself.
Yeah.
Like what you were sent here to channel through you, because like the fact of the matter is all of our lives have purpose. And it takes so fucking long to figure out what it is.
Yeah.
It takes so fucking long, and it takes so much slamming your head into this wall and into that wall and into that wall before you're like, okay, wow, I tried this direction, that direction, and everything is a dead end. Like, where the fuck am I supposed to be? Like, and life is frustrating in that way, for sure.
Right.
And I wish there was an easy answer, but it's crazy to me how much people-pleasing gets you out of touch with what your life purpose actually is.
It's saying I can't allow myself to be happy or exist until I'm acknowledged, and then I can please myself, and it never comes. So then you never acknowledge yourself, and so then you are always an item or an object to everyone and everything else. And when that happens, you can't get mad because at the end of the day, it's you chose that.
Yes.
And that's the hard part. That's the hard part.
And humans are tribal.
Yeah.
We are still the human animal. I mean, we're supposed to be in a herd. We're supposed to be in a tribe with each other. I mean, we are animals at our core. Our greatest instinct is to be connected into community with other of our species. And I hate that technology has, like, I hate that the individualistic strivings of our species have isolated us so drastically to the point where we can't find our way back to each other. Like, humans trying to socialize, like the amount of anxiety disorders that are going on among the human species right now, just trying to exist among each other, it's the saddest thing ever. I mean, even I will 1000% admit, I mean, hell, I'm an Aries, like I am the sign of the individual. Even I will admit, I do really well with people one-on-one. I love individuals, but put humans into a group setting and I'm fucking lost.
Yeah.
I am fucking lost. And yeah, my experience was similar, like trying to integrate into a group. I was that person that floated between all of the genres. Like, I had friends that were in the jock group. I mostly had friends that were goth. I had friends that were, you know what I mean, athletic. I have whatever, the pageant queens, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I was friends with everyone, but I bounced from group to group because I cared about the individuals in that group. And it kind of sucks because, like, sorry, I don't mean to take over. Like, I really don't want to.
Because I'm right there with you.
Well, empathy ended up being my superpower.
Yeah.
I noticed. And that was the one thing that existed outside of the people pleaser segment of my personality, was I had true empathy for each individual, because the fact is, everybody has problems. It's just a different set of problems. There was a young lady who used to work at the dog salon I was working at in Shoreview, and her parents were exactly what you were describing, image-based, so concerned with their public image. Oh, you have to live up to this standard. Our family name is, it was this legacy thing that they were pushing onto her, and she was crumbling under the pressure. And just watching that girl, whenever she and I were alone together, she would have the most massive emotional breakdowns I've ever seen. And you would never know it. She's a stunning young lady from the suburbs, like, overachiever, and you would just never know it about her.
Right.
But people on an individual basis have always been very comfortable being all the way themselves with me, because I can see through your shit anyways.
Sure.
And I think people can feel that from me. Like, I know when you're faking. Like, I know when you're, like, pretending to be happy and you're not, you know what I mean? And I would just be like, hey, how are you? And she'd be like, I'm fine. And I'd be like, all right, how are you? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, I can see you. And I mean, a flood of tears every time. And it's like, dude, let it out, because it's not fucking going anywhere. Like, if there's one thing that we know as humans, anything that we try to repress and shove down and, I'll deal with that later and compartmentalize, trust me, it's waiting for you. It will be waiting for you.
It's not going to wait for you. It's going to jump out. At times you don't want it to.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
It's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
And you're not going to avoid it, and the only way out is through.
Yeah.
So you might as well fucking turn around and face the dragon.
Yeah.
Half the time the dragon shrinks into a little plushie anyways. So it's the avoidance of it that really fucks people up. Like, trying to run from that fear of inadequacy is what fucks people up so bad. And it's like, no, just admit to what you're feeling.
Yeah.
Like, another thing about being a Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is my rising sign, we want the truth.
100%.
We want the truth.
And it's not like we're gonna let you tell us the truth, and like, if you're not telling us the truth, we're gonna suss it out. We're gonna suss it out no matter what.
I think we have a sense for that.
Yeah, like for me, it's like, even if it costs me, I'm gonna suss out the truth, and I may not let everyone know, but I will know.
Yeah.
I will know.
And I may not like the answer, but I want it anyways. Because that's more valuable. What's more valuable than my comfort the truth,
The truth.
the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God, or whatever you believe in. You feel me? Like, yeah. Oops, apparently I should have had that plugged in, but hopefully it didn't affect the video. But yeah, are we up to present day as far as your life story? What more
I don't
can
know.
you?
I feel like these are just like a bunch of cliff notes.
Yeah,
But,
we're,
like,
we're getting
we're getting
scenes.
somewhere.
We're getting
Yeah.
different scenes in your lifetime. But what would you add to this as far as your life story and what shaped you into the creative that you are today and shaped you into a person of self-expression that you are today?
Yeah, it's just this idea of like all these beliefs that I held about myself pushed me to be like a tireless worker, a tireless like slave of the arts, and slave of constantly like working to perfect this and perfect that. And I mean like that like transition from wanting to be like a popular person in high school to being like a musician was one of like, these are my virtuosos that I like, the guitar heroes that I want to be like, and I will practice as much as possible until I'm that good at guitar.
Okay.
And so it made me a good musician, especially like since I've come from like such a weird background. I'm a very creative thinker.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily a linear thinker. I'm a creative thinker. So it's made me good at like comedy because I think about we'll both see a situation, but I'll think about it from the most absurd perspective. It's made me good at like dance and martial arts and other stuff that I've done because I like think about other people's perspectives and the psychological factors that are pushing them to make the choices that they're making, and then I like to take that information in and then like and add my own perspective to it and then throw it back at them. And so like that's what I do musically. That's what I do with like the things that I do creatively is my goal is to add something to the conversation, add an emotional depth, an emotional weight, or an idea that like that hasn't been expressed, or a perspective that hasn't been seen. So like my feelings of inadequacy, my feelings of like I'm always sad, I'm always in pain, my life is unfair, when will things get better, like why is the world the way it is, why is why am I treated differently, like all this like self-loathing shit that I felt for the first half, up into my 20s. I really like captured that and like just wanted to alchemize it and transmute it into something that took me out of that place. And I think that set the foundation for who I am today.
Yeah.
Is like the journey of understanding myself, who I am, what I can create, what my adversity means for me. Now I'm in my 30s, so I've processed all that shit. I've had like 4 years of therapy, and I'm like now I come from a perspective of like, okay, I understand how my experiences were growing up, and I don't judge them. I don't judge the way that I thought. I don't judge the things that I did, but I do understand that there are just so many socioeconomic and like systemic factors that contributed to that. Like that story isn't all just like me and my choices. It's like I discovered it's the situation that I was in. And same with the other people in my life. And I'm just like, now musically and artistically, I think, how can I tell the story of others and like create different perspectives and create a world like kind of like a test world where people can like experience the experiences of others in a way that makes you understand yourself, but makes you like have that same experience of like understanding that this like we're just all kind of like on our surfboards and the waves are controlling where we move. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought, but I mean what I mean by that is like I want to create art that connects people, and not only connects them through shared experiences, but experiences that you never thought possible, that someone else could be going through. Like I used to philosophize about like when I listened to emo music, I thought I understood a lot of that being about what is the emotional depth you can get get into with the level of pain you experience and how can you express that creatively. With metal, how can I express the brutality of the world? Goth, how can I intellectually and coldly feel that deep void that you experience with the like existential nature of life, where like we like accepting the fact that we're all going to die, accepting the fact that there is a nothingness to the world and we have power to make change, accepting the fact that like that I can hold this darkness and I could be with it and I don't have to let it consume me or like overwhelm me or wash over me and drown me. I can be present with it. When thinking about punk, thinking about those systemic issues that
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry.
thinking about punk, thinking about the ideas of action and rebellion and what that looks like. Thinking about hip hop, thinking about like the stories of people who just get washed away, and like the things that people experience in society, and the way that society pushes you into certain lifestyles from from before you're conceived. Like just thinking about that and thinking about like also in hip hop how the communities have come together over time and created an art form that helps to solve some of these systemic problems. Like there's so many ways that hip hop has led the charge in American music and led the like philosophy of American music. That's so beautiful to me, and like I've wanted to incorporate all genres, all the messages of all these genres that I consumed growing up, and just combine them into a message. And yeah, so like, there's a lot of stories within that of how I got to those like I don't know perspectives for different genres of music in correlation with different experiences and like emotions and how I've thought about and perceived my life. I don't know if any of that made sense.
That made total sense.
I don't know if y'all followed any of that. But
You're
like,
perfectly coherent.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel.
Because
about
art is a language in and of itself.
it. Yeah.
If there's one thing I've found, art is a language. And hip hop, especially, I really think does an incredible job at shining a light on certain situations that other people otherwise would not know about from that perspective. And I feel that there's a justice in that.
Yeah.
I feel that there's a justice in that, and I also, I always wonder how to, I feel that, yeah, there is a value to shining a light on injustice and actually painting the picture, actually conveying to other people what is happening. Art is a communication.
Yeah.
Like, it is a way to connect and communicate to the outside world and let them know what your experience of life is, because we're all just having such a different experience from each other. And it's just so nice to come together and understand each other in that way to the best of our ability. But
I think about one of my favorite rappers, Immortal Technique. Listen to this song at your own fucking risk.
okay.
Basically, it's a song about, it's like a story of a kid who just grows up in an environment kind of like me. He like wants to be the center of attention,
Yeah.
and what that means for him and where he grew up and where he lives.
Yeah.
It means joining a gang, and it means like doing awesome. It means the song's called "Dance with the Devil." If you know, you know. But it told this a graphic story. And the story has such a crazy plot twist at the end, and your jaw drops and you start crying, like you feel all shit. And people ask Immortal Technique, was that story true? And Immortal Technique's like, I can tell you, I could take you to this day, to the building where it happened.
Wow.
And I feel like you can't get that from other genres. Like you can't.
That just gave me chills, actually.
The song is very chilling.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, that's the thing I value most about music, is like you said, like especially hip hop, it can shine light. And
Yeah.
a lot of people come to music. It's kind of like I consider music almost like this monkey's paw, because a lot of people come to music with wishes. They don't come to music with the intention of it being an art form.
Okay.
A lot of artists will approach music like, if I can input into this, I can get something out of it, but they don't respect the art. And it's just like magic. If like you're doing like some weird magic and you don't respect the rules of magic, like the law of three, what you do will come back to you threefold. If you don't respect that, then you're gonna have a hard time with it. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people, where they come into music chasing fame and attention, and they get hooked on drugs, and they like all sorts of shit happens to them. And sometimes like these people have good intentions and shit still happens to them. So I think art is very convoluted, because there's the corporate idea of art, where it's like you get sucked into this fantasy world where all your dreams and desires are met. And there's this idea of art where like you're the starving artist and you have nothing but the art. And I don't think either are really justified paths to take, because it's just a concept. But like I feel like there's a danger to pursuing art and creativity in a way that's like not community based, and it's like very ego serving, and like with anything, like it's dangerous, you know. It's a woman that you have to respect, you know. It's like, and so with me, I think that's the lesson that I've learned throughout all of this, is that I need to be doing this for the community that I want to see in the world. I need to be doing this for the voices that don't get heard, including my own.
Also, there are conscious competence and there are unconscious competence, and that is just the theory that either you understand the formula that you're doing and what results it's yielding, or you do it automatically and you have no idea why you do it, for who you're doing it, and it just fucking works. And they say that you can never tell someone the path from the beginning of the path. You can only see how to get somewhere looking back, which literally means that when you do something, you're going on blind fucking faith. I don't like to use the word faith because obviously religious trauma, but but you're going on blind trust in yourself and trust in the process. And that has been my experience. Like, I've always known that when I am on a stage, there is an energy that's being channeled through me. And I've always known that. I've always felt that, because when I'm writing lyrics, it's not my hand. My hand is not the one moving on the paper. I'm telling you, something is coming through me. It's not from me, it's coming through me. And a lot of us, we just are the vessel for the music. You know, that the specific energy signature that we contain tends to be the energy that is channeled through us. And I feel like that energy selects us based on that. These are just my wild theories, whatever. but I have never known why I need to perform. But I know that when I'm not performing, it feels like a slow death. And it's actually physically painful. It's psychologically painful and it's physically painful, because I've said 1,000 times, I'm quitting music. Fuck this. This is a thankless job. I've thrown my hands up 1,000 times and I've been like, fuck it. I'm not a performer. And when I've tried to take breaks from performing, it feels like nothing less than a slow death. Like, it is an excruciating death. So when it chooses you, and it's not up to you. Like, your purpose will find you. Your purpose will happen through you. And understanding our reasoning isn't always necessary. And typically, if you want to be a guide for someone else and tell them the steps to how you got where you got, you can only see the steps after you've thrown yourself off of that cliff and jumped into the great unknown. I mean, they say that like
leap of faith.
90% of life is knowing when to fucking jump. And it's like, it's terrifying, because you're like, this has chosen me, I must go. And you really do like leap into the unknown with it, and you only see the path looking back. That's been my experience, at least. I could never tell somebody how to get to a place of being a creative. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could never tell somebody because it's something that's happening through me.
I know exactly what you mean, and I think if I were to try and tell someone that, I think in life there are expectations that are put on you of like where you should be, who you should be at what time. Should I focus on music? Should I focus on getting married? Blah blah blah. But if you sit with yourself and you think, what really drives me? What really inspires me? What am I passionate about?
Yeah.
And if you just give yourself permission to lean into that just a little bit.
Yeah. And when you fantasize about it, if you get head to toe chills, that's the one. That's the one. I'm telling you.
I agree.
I've been lining up with one of them lately, so freaking strong, and every time I fantasize it, and I'm actually being given the answers lately, where it's like, okay, here's the next step that you need to do, and I'm like, damn, thank you for telling me. I don't know where that just came from, but thank you for telling me. Like, yeah,
Rick
it's a trip.
Rubin says, like, if you've got an idea and like to do something and you don't do it, it just goes to the next person.
Yep.
That's how he.
Yes.
That's his philosophy of how that works.
Yes, exactly.
When people ask him about how to write a hit, he's just like, well, it just you just get it, and then if you record it and you do it, then you do, and if you don't, it goes to the next person.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm like, that's very metaphysical and superstitious, and like, I don't know if I believe that, but I'm like, nah. That's how it feels when I get an idea. Like, I have to get this idea out now, otherwise it's going to be gone. And it's funny because I've had, my mom's older now, and I used to like prank her a lot. So I got like a hold of her phone one day, and I left a like you know how like when you call someone and the answering machine comes on and you can leave something.
Yeah.
And my thing was like just me screaming, Tyrone Johnson! And then this like, so when people called her, they're like, girl, you need to leave that man. I don't know who it is, blah, blah, blah. And so like, it turned into a big joke. It turned into a character that I played. And me and my friends like made a whole song with him in it. And it was like the funniest thing ever about like him just randomly walking up to people and like finding himself in all these situations. And it was the funniest thing ever. And then like my friends were like, you really need to do something with this because it's comedy gold. Like you gotta like release it. And I'm like, no, this one's just for me. It's just for me.
Yeah.
And because there's some things in there that like I don't think white people would get. And so I'm just like, I'm just gonna leave it at that. And then and so fast forward a couple years later, I'm scrolling through Insta Reels when I was a Reels guy. And there's this big buff dude, and he's like, I'm Tyrone. And then like when people were like smoking cigarettes, he'd like smack the cigarettes out of their hands. That's bad for you. Don't smoke. And he'd get really aggressive. And I'm like, yeah, that's it.
Yep.
It's still there. It's in the ether. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this stuff is just in the ether, and we can grab it at any time.
We're grabbing it, exactly, and bringing it into the physical. It's so true.
I can't believe I told that.
I love
talked
it.
about that on camera, but
I love it. So many inventions fall into the minds of two different people on opposite sides of the planet at the exact same time.
True.
I mean, how often does that happen? It's true. The ideas are out there. Like, we can choose to materialize it, to bring it into the 3D physical world or not.
Yes.
That's the power we have as creators.
Yes.
So thank you so much for telling me your story, for telling us your story. Like, seriously, I found this conversation so valuable, and it really expanded my mind to open up to some different modes of thinking. You really expanded my perspective today. You think about things very differently. I enjoyed how expansive that was. So
it's fun.
Thank you so much for being open to telling your story.
Yeah, don't call me mysterious anymore, guys. Okay. I've
no
done
longer
the thing.
mysterious.
I've opened up.
The answers are all here. If you didn't watch the episode, that's on you. All right, you guys. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next episode of Conversations, featuring all kinds of local talent in the Twin Cities area and beyond. I'm sure. I'm sure.
Mars, whatever.
Exactly. Bye.
Oh man, that was